Over the years, I've tried many different side hustles, and no, it's not crypto, it's not Amazon dropshipping, and it's not having a YouTube channel. These are real side hustles that I've done to boost my income before I had my own business. So let's dive into the world of side hustles that I've tried and my results. So one of the first side hustles that I've tried is an online bakery. The money that you can make in this is realistically going to be somewhere between 15 to maybe £20 a box. When it comes to startup capital, you can get this business set up for under £100. Now the reason I picked this is because donuts are one of the highest profit margin foods. Now brownies would be a good option too, due to the fact that they're more easy to post and can actually fit through a letterbox. Now you can set this up by just having a couple of social media accounts and collecting money via PayPal, or even a small website if you want to. From my experience, I would give this a difficulty rating of 1 out of 5. And mainly because the postage and the packaging can be quite hard to master. To be successful in this, you need to have clever marketing and some good reviews as well. Obviously, you need a base level of experience when it comes to baking, but making and marketing sweet treats is pretty fun and isn't too difficult. Next up, reselling on websites such as eBay and Facebook Marketplace. When it comes to making money here, you can double or even triple your money. Startup capital here is going to be somewhere around £100 to £300 depending on the products that you're going to be buying. I would give this a difficulty rating of 4 out of 5 because the risk is quite high. If you buy stuff that you can't use, you're stuck with a load of stock, and this has happened to me in the past as well. When I first had this idea, I brought a load of t-shirts from a popular men's clothing reseller. I brought the t-shirts on sale, which I thought would probably be the most popular and would sell easiest. And to be fair, they did sell relatively quickly. However, I was left over with probably around 10 to 20% of stock, which I'm still trying to shift to this day. My tip for this would be to make sure if you're going to buy clothes, to buy in your size, so at the very least, if they don't sell, you can wear them yourselves and get some kind of use out of them. But it can be difficult to know what is going to sell and what's not going to sell, because when it comes to fashion trends, for example, things can change very quickly. If you're doing something else like a watch or musical instruments or something else, then you need to have very, very good knowledge on these subjects and know what is worth the money and what isn't. You can set up this side hustle relatively quickly. Again, all you need is to have an eBay account or have some access to a Facebook Marketplace. Then all you need to do is take some photos and start listing items with a half decent profit margin. You can make money on pretty much anything as long as you can buy it cheap enough. But I would definitely recommend making sure that you do your research. Okay, next up, ticket reselling. To start this off, you're probably going to need around £500 to £600 a time because buying tickets, generally speaking, isn't cheap. But here it is easy to double your money from your initial investment. I would give this a rating of 4 out of 5 when it comes to difficulty because it's hard to guarantee that you'll get good tickets when your slot in the queue comes up. A few years ago, I brought 6 tickets for a Beyonce show and sold each pair for more than I brought the 6 for. You need to make sure that whatever you're buying tickets for, there's going to be enough demand and that you don't get stuck with something that you can't sell. I think you'd have a very different outcome if you tried doing this with Sum 41 instead of Beyonce. So on the safe side, I would say buy tickets on something that you're interested in, and worst case scenario, you might get a free night out. Next up, one of the other side hustles I've tried is monetizing a hobby. For me, this was playing guitar in a Guns N' Roses tribute band and also being a professional wrestler. Interesting choices, I know. Back in the day when I would do this, I would make somewhere between £50 to £100 a night for not that much work. Upfront capital is going to be hundreds, if not thousands of pounds, as you'll have to learn the skill, practice the skill for many years and get the tools to do the job as well. So when it comes to being a musician, you're going to need a PA system, amp, guitars, spare guitar, and all this other stuff. From my experience, the biggest downside when doing this was the amount of traveling that you'd have to do, as well as the amount of practice and trying to keep on top of your game. As you can probably imagine, there is a lot of training and practice that goes into being a professional guitarist and also a professional wrestler, both of which are not easy at all. Now, I would give this a difficulty rating of 3 out of 5. The risk is if you get an injury in any kind of hobby that you do, that you're going to be screwed. In terms of the work, it is probably going to be the most enjoyable and fun job that you could possibly do. If any of your equipment gets damaged or the venue or promoter tries to get out of paying you, this can be quite a big headache. And this happens quite a lot when it comes to both music and wrestling. But as I said, this is probably going to be the most enjoyable side hustle as you're making money from your hobby. Next up, spread betting. For this one, you're going to need to make sure that you're well organized, you're good at maths, and that you are paying attention at all times. Setup cost for this is minimal. You're only going to need your phone and maybe 10 or 20 pounds for laying the initial bet. Now, it took a while for someone to explain the concept of spread betting to me as I found it quite complex. Essentially, what this involves involved is using a free bet and then laying that bet on a betting marketplace at the right odds to make sure that whatever the result, you win and you get some money. So what I would do, I would collect a free bet from whatever bookmaker had some kind of special offer on. Then I would lay this bet at the right odds on a betting platform such as Betfred. Essentially, I'm ensuring that I can't lose and I get money from the free bet. Now this one is quite easy to do over and over again, as there's always free bets across various sporting events and various different bookmakers. It just comes down to how much time you can put into this and if you enjoy maths and admin. Now I would give this a 2 out of 5 difficulty rating as it's pretty simple, but if you're not very good at maths or not very well organised, then I would probably say this is going to be at a 10 out of 5 for difficulty and probably your worst nightmare. It can be confusing when you've got several different bets on several different platforms with several different bookmakers, so you need to make sure that you know what you're doing. My next side hustle that I've tried is selling AI generated children's artwork on Etsy. Now here you can make somewhere between £10 to £15 a sale, and the startup capital is basically zero, as you get paid when the order is fulfilled. You can use a print on demand service to make sure that you carry this out. I would give this a 3 out of 5 difficulty rating, and it's hard to know what people will like, and you're going to have to spend a lot of time researching and creating loads of different options to see what works and what doesn't. One of the things that I found to sell well was a picture of a fox on an elephant. Something I probably never would have thought of in 100 years without AI. One of the other side hustles I've tried in the past is renting out empty space. When I did this in the past, all I did was rent out an empty garage which I wasn't using. All I did was simply put an advert on Gumtree, and within a couple of days I had someone that was willing to rent out my garage for storage for the next year. This would make me around £100 a month with no costs. If you don't have a garage, you could potentially look to rent out your car parking space, assuming that you live in a desirable area. Either way, you're just trying to make use of what you've got and what you're not using. When it comes to a side hustle, this is about as passive and minimal work as it gets. Difficulty wise, I'm probably going to give this a 1 out of 5 as it's pretty easy and there's no setup cost. If you have an unusual side hustle that you've tried in the past that you've had success with, I would love to hear about it in the comments section below. Anyway, that's enough from me in today's video. Hit the subscribe button and I will see you soon in the next video.